So today we are going to talk about the pay of college athletes. First, we are going to talk about how college athletes already get much more than the average student. Next, we will talk about if we pay college athletes, then we will lose some of the smaller sports. After that, we'll start to talk about the NCAA income and revenue. And finally, we will talk about how it will no longer be an amateur sport. So college athletes already receive more than the average student. Some people say that it's harder for college athletes to keep their grades up because they're gone on for games and practices, but in reality, they actually get their own personal tutor, and I think that's actually more beneficial for them since they can get more of a one-on-one, like in high school, than rather in like colleges where you got big classes and you don't really get that one-on-one with your professor or teacher, and that one-on-one might allow them to understand the material better. They also get better meal plans than the average student. They get, like the average student, they might only get pizza and hamburgers and maybe some stuff like that, while the college athletes get like prime rib, steak, and other really good food like that. They also get to use a gym and other facilities for free, and I understand why, since they're college athletes and they need to be working out more to stay in shape. But with the average student, I understand why they have to pay for that, but it's just another thing that they get for free that's beneficial for them. Where will most of the money go if we start to pay college athletes? Well, scholarships allow all sports to help college athletes, but if we start to pay athletes, then we will get rid of lots of the smaller sports like lacrosse, soccer, cross country, just a bunch of those smaller sports like that. And for a lot of those sports, they don't have professional sports. So college is the best they get. Most of the money will actually start going to basketball and football. People call that just the big two. Mostly because those are the biggest two sports in colleges. That's the two sports that everyone likes to watch. So why wouldn't they put most of their money into football and basketball? Because that's what's going to make their college more money, you know? So, I mean, it's just a bad deal all in all. Here's an example. Minnesota's women's hockey team has been in 4 of the last 5 national championships. They have won 3 consecutive championships, and they also had a perfect season of 41-0, which is the only perfect season in NCAA women's hockey history. After their most recent title, they gave them their 6th title of this millennium. The only other women's NCAA team that has won more national titles in this millennium is the University of Kentucky's women's basketball team with 8. So you see, if we start to pay college athletes, this might be one of the sports we might lose. I mean, this dynasty that no one really knows about, it might be gone. And there's no professional women's hockey team. So this is the best they get. I mean, there's other dynasties like in lacrosse where there was a JUCO college where they won like 105 straight games. I mean, that's just incredible. And most people don't know about those dynasties, but those are some of the best dynasties that college has ever seen. So the NCAA's money, the NCAA brings in about $2.9 billion a year, and they're a nonprofit organization. The NCAA already helps 150,000 athletes with scholarships, but that still leaves out 310,000 athletes that are still getting nothing. So if they're already helping 150,000 athletes with scholarships, how are we supposed to pay the 460,000 athletes? I mean, that's just crazy. If we can't even give enough scholarships to all those athletes, how are we supposed to pay every single one of them? Here's a picture of the NCAA revenue. Most of the money actually goes back into the athletes. So you can see 11% of the money actually goes back into the championships. So that gives the championships a much better atmosphere and just makes the sport, all in all, just really, really good. 81% of it goes to television and marketing rights. So that really helps, like with tape, and that gets a lot of the athletes put out there so scouts can watch their film and possibly go pro. So, yeah. If we start to pay college athletes, then it's no longer going to be an amateur sport. So I personally like college sports more than professionals, just because it has a different feeling and vibe than the pros. I mean, so if we start paying them, we're just going to ruin everything about college sports. Also, if we start to pay college athletes, then really there's only going to be about 10 schools that are always competing for a national title. So those 10 schools are Oregon, Texas, Michigan, Alabama, Ohio State, LSU, Wisconsin, Florida, and Texas A&M. So if we start to pay college athletes, those 10 schools are going to be the schools getting the best prospects. I mean, and not only that, but if we do start to pay college athletes, then, like I said earlier, they're not going to be an amateur sport. So they might as well just go to the pros right away. I mean, there's no point for college then, whether, so first we talked about what college athletes are to receive. Next, we talked about the pay. If we pay college athletes, then we will lose some of the smaller sports. After that, we talked about the NCAA income and revenue. And finally, we talked about if we start to pay college athletes, we will no longer have amateur sports. So I hope I enlightened you on this topic, and I hope I changed your mind whether or not college athletes should be paid.